This is the Montana Outdoor Podcast, brought to you in part by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. And by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. Now, get ready for more fascinating topics and the most interesting people you will ever find in Montana's great outdoors. We offer new podcasts most every Saturday. You can get a link to these podcasts by going to our website, montanooutdoor.com, or by going to our Facebook page, or just send an email to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com and say send a link to my email. It's that simple. Now let's head out with your host, Downrigger Dale, and see what's going on in Montana's great outdoors.
Thank you very much, Manny. And as Manny just said, I am Downrigger Dale with the Montana Outdoor Podcast. Thanks so much for all of you joining us. Really love to have all of you here, as always. And a big shout out to our active military, who we have a lot of active military that listen to this podcast. We are honored that you are taking time out from protecting us and doing all the stuff you do all around the world to spend some time. And I hope this podcast brings a little bit of home back to you. I enjoy your emails and your thoughts and all that. So it's an honor to have you, and thank you for your service. Now, for all of us here, this has been just a great journey as we go along. We started this podcast a little over a year and a half ago, and it's grown a lot. If you guys don't mind sharing this podcast, we sure would appreciate it. There's so many different ways to share the podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or we're on, over 20 different sites there. There's always a spot where you can share the podcast. So from wherever you're at, share it. And of course, you can always go to montanooutdoor.com, our website, and you can share it from there, and also listen to it on the website and read some of the stories and things too there. Now, if you listen to our radio show, which we do live every Saturday morning from 6 to 8, called the Montana Outdoor Radio Show, we have the captain doing the show live from the boat ramp there, and it was an interesting Gov Cup this year, 37th annual Gov Cup. And on the phone with me right now is the winner of this year's, half of the winning team of this year's Gov Cup. Owen Willcox, along with Ziek Gordon, won this year's Gov Cup. A pretty exciting time. Owen, welcome to the Montana Outdoor Podcast, and thanks so much for joining us. Where are you at, by the way?
Right now I'm over at in Pierre, South Dakota for the South Dakota Gov Cup right now.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, landed the Gov Cup from your state. Now you're going to go steal one from South Dakota, huh?
That's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to do.
Good for you. Bring one home for us here. Great. Now, before we get into your Gov Cup victory, and I want you to kind of take us through that, because that's always an interesting story when somebody wins a big tournament like that. Tell us a bit about yourself and how when you started fishing, how you got into it, and all that.
Yeah. I'm born and raised in Montana. Born in Billings, grew up in Billings. I've been fishing since I was 3 years old. Started out, just doing the old Montana Western fishing small trout streams and that kind of thing. And kind of started to get into walleye fishing about right around 8 years old. I'd say my dad, we bought a old Crestliner, was our very first, I guess you could say, walleye boat. Just kind of fished the small little areas around Billings, kind of like Cooney Reservoir, Tongue River, those kind of areas. And just kind of, rest is kind of history. Just kind of kept growing from there, and that's kind of how I found my love for walleye fishing.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was your dad the main influence that got you into fishing?
Yes, 100%. He's the reason why, for sure.
Do you remember the first time he took you fishing, Owen?
God, I don't. I was so little, I can't even remember the first time I went fishing. But I can tell you, we've gone a lot. That's for sure. We've gone fishing quite a bit.
Yeah, my grandpa was the one that got me into it, and I still use some of his advice today.
I bet for
Yeah,
sure.
uh, is your dad still with us?
Yes. Yep. He's here right now. He's fishing the South Dakota tournament as well.
Oh,
He's
is
out.
he? Okay.
Yeah, he's still on the water right now. He's pre-fishing.
So does Dad still give you a little advice here and there as you go along?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Pretty hard to not get that, isn't it?
Yep.
Great. So when did you first start competing as a fisherman? Do you remember what age you were when you first started your first tournament?
I think I was 10, 11 years old, I want to say, was when I fished my first walleye tournament.
Okay.
It was the Hell Creek tournament.
The Hell Creek tournament. Okay. How did you do?
We got fourth, actually.
Really? Wow. For your first tournament, that's pretty darn good. Now, was your dad your partner then, or?
No, actually. It was this lady named Wendy Ross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did my first few tournaments with her. We actually ended up winning Team of the Year. Not my first year I did the tournament. The year after, we actually ended up taking second place Angler of the Year, and we won Team of the Year for the Fort Peck circuit that year. So that was pretty cool.
Not a bad way to start by your second year. So that must have set pretty well with you, saying, this tournament thing's kind of my thing. I want to get into it.
I kind of was like, this ain't too bad. I'll keep doing this.
So tell us about your partner that you fished with in this year's Gov Cup. Who is that?
Ziek Gordon. I've known Ziek since I want to say 2017. I'd say. We actually met at the boat ramp at Crooked Creek in 2017. Him and his brother were fishing, and me and my dad were fishing, and we kind of just took out at the same time. We kind of started talking. We kind of knew each other from Facebook, and we kind of grew the friendship from there. But I fished with Ziek, and my dad actually fishes with Zeke's brother, Gage Gordon. So
okay,
we're kind of a team there, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. So how many tournaments now have you fished so far this year?
Let me look.
Okay.
I think I have 6 tournaments so far this year.
Okay. And has Ziek been your partner through all those?
No, not all of them. The NWTs, obviously they're NWTs, so it's just the pro circuit, so it's just me there. But the rest of them, yes, yep. The rest of the tournaments, me and Ziek have partnered up.
So whenever it's a team deal, Zeke's your guy. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's get into your latest victory and the one that we want to talk quite a bit about today, and that is the 2024 Governor's Cup, the 37th annual Gov Cup. Now, what does the Governor's Cup mean to you as compared to other tournaments that you fish in? Does it have a bit more mystique to it than other tournaments, or is it just another tournament to you?
It does. Gov Cup, though, ever since I started doing it, always has, I don't know, it always just almost this nostalgic feeling of fishing the Montana Governor's Cup. It's just, I love that time of year. I love that area. I love the dam. It's just kind of my happy place, and I just love. I really do love that tournament. So it's always had a little special place in my heart, and honestly, that's probably the tournament I've wanted to win the most for sure. It's always just kind of that nostalgic feeling. I just love the everything that goes on in that time frame. It's just a good time to be up there. Yeah,
I think that tends to be the feeling with most guys and gals that fish the Gov Cup. There's just something about it. I've often referred to it as like the Super Bowl of Montana fishing tournaments or that. And it's just, it always seems like, when I talk to other fishermen, if there's one tournament they've always wanted to win, it's the Gov Cup. So this was your first Gov Cup victory, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So, what did you and Zeke do to prepare for this Gov Cup? Obviously, you guys went out and did some pre-fishing and that. Anything else that you did to kind of get prepared for this?
I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. I mean, Fort Peck is our bread and butter. I mean, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to it. We knew, we kind of knew the type, the bite was tough heading into there, so we kind of were preparing ourselves for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
other than that,
in pre-fishing, was the bite pretty tough then too?
yeah, the bite was extremely tough. One of the tougher bites I've ever faced on Fort Peck, actually. It was quite crazy, actually.
Yeah, and Fort Peck has got such a wonderful reputation as one of the world's best walleye, water bodies.
Yep.
So did that kind of have an ominous feeling to it as far as, okay, wow, this pre-fish isn't going so swell? Did you kind of change what your strategy was going to be? But take us through that of how you prepared when you go through pre-fishing and it's a really tough bite.
I mean, going through pre-fishing, we realized how tough it was. So we were just kind of preparing ourselves for it to be a grinder, just keep your head down and keep casting, that kind of thing. We knew where the big fish were. We knew how to get them. We knew we just had to keep casting to them. Eventually they were going to go. There wasn't a whole lot to it, but more so just got to keep grinding.
So you get out there, you're done with pre-fishing. It's been a tough bite. At that point, we get into the morning of day one. You guys, like you just said, you have a pretty good idea where the big ones might be and all that. So take us through day one. What did you and Zeke do for day one?
Yeah, so day one, we started on a few spots. It was super slow in the morning. I don't think we got our first fish until 11:30 or so. It was actually on Graves Point. I want to say it was our first fish. Our first two fish were on Graves Point. They actually once we got our first fish, the second fish came. I would say probably 20 minutes right after the first fish. So we kind of thought we had something rolling, and then all of a sudden it went straight back to just dead fishing. Not a whole lot being caught.
What were you using when you caught those first two, and who caught them? Was it you and or Zeke, or who caught them?
Jig and wraps, and
okay.
Zeke got all three the first day.
Okay,
Zeke was the man on day one, that's for sure.
That's the kind of partner you want,
Yep, for sure. It does. Like I would say, once tournament time rolls around, I don't care who boats the fish. I just want to be catching fish, getting as good a bag as you can get.
So do you remember what the weights were for the first fish, second fish, and ultimately third fish?
I think one of them was a 32, and then the other two were both cookie cutter. I think like 29 and a quarters, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right around where they were.
Okay.
Our first fish. I know for day one, our total bag was 33.13 pounds on three fish. So,
all right. So now let's and by the way, folks, those of you listening here to this podcast, when you came to the podcast, you saw the podcast description. Well, if you scroll all the way down, there's some links there, and I'll put a link to the whole roster and what the finishes were for day one and day two of the Gov Cup. So you guys will be able to go through that and see all that right there. So that way you can either pull it up now as we're talking, or you can, pull it up later after Owen and I are done talking, and you can kind of see how they did it. And that has all the exact measurements and all that. So getting back into that then. So after day one, you guys get off the water and you go find out that some of them foreigners had brought in 50 pounds.
Yes. Yep.
What went through your mind then?
I knew it was going to happen. I knew someone was going to get 50. I actually know the guys that were leading at day one. Joe Okada and Brett King. They fished the National Walleye Tour with me. So I've talked to them before. They're actually super good guys. But it did kind of surprise me that they had 50 just because they I think they only had 9 hours on the water. They had a bunch of boat issues back in Wisconsin, I think, and stuff. So they didn't have a whole lot of time to pre-fish. So I thought it was pretty impressive that they were able to get 50. I will definitely tip my hat off to them. But I knew the wind definitely wasn't out of question. I know Fort Peck can be it's a different animal. I know things can change on a dime, so I wasn't too worried about it.
So, do you know where they were fishing on day one mostly?
I want to say they went west. I'm not exactly sure where they went. I know they went west though.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, you take a look at the board, and you guys are now they're at 50 pounds, which, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Gov Cup, that the way that weigh-ins go is it's a by length. So they have a chart that shows whatever the length of each fish is, that gets converted into weight. So you guys were at what by the end of day one?
33.13 pounds. And we were sitting in 7th place, I believe.
Okay. So you guys were there. These guys are at just, what was it, like 50.4 pounds, something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So at that point, what did you and Ziek do? I mean, did you have a sit down that night and say, okay, we got to change things up? Take us through how you planned for day two.
Yeah. After that, we had dinner, and then we headed back to the house, and we're just kind of talking, and we honestly decided to make a kind of a little risky decision to go down the dry arm day two. We just knew there was fish down there. We didn't pre-fish a whole lot, but we knew if we made the right decision, it's going to be the right decision. It's gonna end up well. And we just kind of decided that's what we wanted to do, and it paid off. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys take off down the dry arm. So that was something that you set that night and decided, okay, we're going to switch up. We're going to head out and see. At that point, did you have a feeling? I mean, was this kind of we'll do a Hail Mary and see what happens? Or did you feel pretty strong that you guys still were in it?
I felt very strong we were still in it, to be honest with you. Me and Ziek are we're very good at just doing things on the fly. We're very good at just kind of throwing what we figured out the window and just kind of doing something new. That's just what I think we've always been kind of good at that, just kind of going on the fly, like I said. So I was confident we were going to get them.
Mm-hmm. So you guys were sitting after day one. You're sitting in 7th place, and as you said, Joe and Brett from Wisconsin, they're sitting in first. Yep. So, and I'm sorry, I thought it was 50.4. It's 50.94 is what they were at.
Yep.
So now you make that big decision to go out. So take us through day two and what happened there.
Yeah. We actually, day two, we got our fish, I want to say, I would say probably 45 minutes in. I'd say we got our first fish 45 minutes in, and then about, I would say, an hour later, we got our second fish, and we just kind of kept the ball rolling from there. Our next 4 fish came off of one spot. We just kept kind of cruising down this shoreline, and probably every, I'd say, 500 yards or so, we'd see another mark, cast to it, and these marks we found were just were aggressive more than the others, and we capitalized on it, and we got them to bite.
So, do you mind sharing where you were down the big dry arm?
Yeah, we were. We went on Citizens. It's just below B marker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where we got our 4, and then we got one of our fish on York Island, and then another one came off of B marker as well. So yeah, that's where our fish came from day 2. Citizens was where it got really hot. That's where those fish were kind of chomping, I guess you could say.
So at that point, you're starting to haul in some pretty big fish. Do you remember, as far as your first fish on day 2, what size we were looking at here?
I think our first fish day 2 was 27 and a half.
Okay.
I want to say that was our first fish. Yep.
So that's got to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah. We were like, okay. Yep. It was definitely a good start. So. Yep.
So you picked up those first 3. How long did it take you to say, okay, we got the 5 that we're absolutely comfortable with?
It was our first 5. It was our first 5 fish.
Wow.
Yep. First 5 hit 52. So we were pretty stoked about that. By then we didn't want to say anything, but I could tell we both knew we kind of might have this thing in the bag.
Really? That was going to be my next question. When did you think that?
We just decided to keep rolling and see if we could get anything bigger. We ended up getting one more fish after that, which didn't help our bag, but yeah, it was a super fun day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the days that we all dream of, being able to make the comeback. Now, did you have any idea what Joe and Brett from Wisconsin were doing? Did you have any idea where they were at, if they were having a good day or not? I imagine you probably had no idea.
I kind of had an idea of what they were doing, but I had no idea of how they were doing. I know they could be crushing them too.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of knew where they were at and what they were up to, but who knows? Because of course you're not allowed to use cell phones or anything out there. Yep. So off you go. So now, were you guys the first ones off the water between say the top 3 leaders? Because the leaders, of course, you guys won it, and then Joe and Brett were second, and then a very, very prominent team that does quite well, Clyde and Brem Phipps from Jordan. So were you guys the first ones off the water?
No. We when we had to be in by 3:45. So the nice thing about Fort Peck, you can just keep fishing. I mean, there's no coal, so you can just keep fishing and trying to just trying to keep your get your bag bigger. So we just stayed out as long as possible to try and get a bigger bag.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And when do you guys make the decision of, okay, let's take a break and go away, or do you just boat the fish you're confident with and then go find a way boat?
It kind of depends on how the fish are doing. Just kind of how they're doing in the live well, if they're lively in there or if they're kind of having trouble staying up. Just kind of all depends on the fish,
Mm-hmm. And who caught the fish on day 2?
Me and Ziek both did. We caught 6 fish day 2. I caught 3 and Ziek caught 3. So
yep. you were able to pull your weight a little bit there, but of course it doesn't matter. The two of you, you feed off of each other and all that.
Yep,
how about as far as what you were using in day 2? Same stuff as day 1?
Yep, same stuff. Jig and wraps.
Jig and wraps. Yep. Were you tipping those with anything, any kind of bait or any of that, or just?
No, just jig and wraps and live scope. That's kind of what we live off during the summer.
And let's talk a little bit about the live scope side of things. I know that is a bit of a controversy for some people. Tell us your thoughts on live scope and how it's changed the way you fish.
It's changed the way I fish, like, totally. I don't really do any sort of trolling anymore. I'm pretty much solely to that live scope, always casting. It's crazy what we've kind of figured out with live scope. It's amazing what these fish do. I've learned so much these past few years and on where these fish live and where they are in the water column. They're not like a lot of people think the walleye just are bottom dwellers. They lay on the bottom and that kind of thing. That is not true at all. These fish spend so much. There was plenty of times during pre-fishing I caught a walleye. There'd be walleye sitting 5 feet under the surface, and
Wow.
I'd cast my jigging Rap at them and they'd smoke it. It's wild what these fish do. Live scopes definitely help me just learn about these fish. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I've kind of embraced the technology. I think it's making people a better fisherman.
For sure.
I think all in all, live scope is actually easier on the fish because
I agree.
You're not you see a small fish in that you're not going to target it.
For sure.
So you're tending to you're catching less fish, just the fish you want.
Yep.
Do you think live scope is going to be here to stay in tournaments then?
Yes, I do. I think it's here to stay.
Yeah. I kind of see it that way, and I know some of the more purist fishermen are saying, no, we should not allow it in tournaments and that, but, and maybe some tournaments might evolve that way or that, but really, I mean, if you look at it, think back on it. There was a time we didn't have electric trolling motors to help us.
Yep.
There was a time when, running a Mercury or Yamaha or that over 300 horsepower was unheard of, and the list goes on. So
map chips of mapping on lakes.
Exactly.
It's all relative.
But I think it does, though, help. So when, guys like Joe and Brett from Wisconsin come into a lake that they're not as familiar with, it does help kind of even the board a little bit, doesn't it?
Yep. It helps the learning curve. It makes the learning curve a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And so, I think it's going to be good for competition. I think we're going to get more people, joining in on all this and that. And the other side of it is for people learning to fish, especially getting young people interested in fishing.
Yes.
I think it's got a great future for that too.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to talk a bit about what's next for you and Ziek, and where you guys, what your strategy is on this South Dakota Gov Cup and that. So we'll get into that right after this. In Montana, discover a land where adventure roams free. Explore small towns where every corner tells a story and every greeting comes with a smile. Saddle up for breathtaking horseback rides or catch a fish in a crystal clear lake. Spend your evening sharing stories around a campfire under a starlit sky. That's how you Montana. Plan your trip at visitmt.com. That's visitmt.com. I mentioned it before, and I'll say it again. It means a great deal to everyone that works on this podcast to have so many of you listening each week. Thank you all so very much. Another huge thank you needs to also go out to my friends at Superior Hardwoods of Montana. Without their support, we simply would not have a podcast. Just like us, you can depend on Superior Hardwoods of Montana, especially when you're ready to turn the place you live into your home. Now, what do I mean? Well, the place you live is not really your home until it reflects who you are. One of the best ways to do that is to go see my friends at Superior Hardwoods of Montana. For example, they have some incredible antique redwood reclaimed from a Marcus Daly water plume built back in 1917, running from Georgetown Lake to the Phillipsburg Mines. They have many other reclaimed options to choose from, as well as like corral board, antique oak, granary lumber, barn siding that is beautifully aged from natural weathering. That could be perfect for your home's soffit, siding, or paneling on an accent wall. They also have antiqued hand-hewn beams and saw-cut timbers that in a way is a tribute to our American history and to your home. Superior Hardwoods is also the place to find the perfect wood to create the ultimate outdoor space, like that incredible deck you've always wanted. Yeah, Superior Hardwoods of Montana is for sure your decking headquarters. Not only do they have a variety of exotic hardwood decking options, but they also have domestic classic traditional cedar. And the best part of that is they are offering exclusive pricing on gorgeous high-quality cedar decking right now. There are lots of benefits to cedar decking. It is resistant to temperature and weather conditions. It won't warp due to moisture. It is rot resistant and requires less maintenance than other softwoods. Go see them on the web at superior-hardwoods.com or stop by their showroom in Missoula and let them guide you through the woods. Remember, on the web it's superior-hardwoods.com. Oh, you're gonna love what they do to your home. So back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast, I'm with Owen Willcox. He and Ziek Gordon were the winners of this year's Montana Governor's Cup Walleye Tournament, and what a great one it was. Didn't have the huge weights that we've been seeing, but it was a really interesting story when you look at it that here, Owen, you and Ziek were sitting at 7th place, and the end of day 2, you're up and up significantly. You guys finished at 85.41, and Joe and Brett from Wisconsin came in at 64.97. They had a tough day 2, only 14.03. Did that surprise you at all that they had really had that tough of a day in day 2?
Yes and no. It surprised me because I know how good of fishermen those guys are.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they can put fish in the boat, but it also didn't surprise me because I know what pet can do to a guy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it can. It can be one of the most rewarding bodies of water out there, and it can also just whip your ass.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yep.
Now, did you feel the hot breath of the Phipps boys on you at all?
Oh yeah, me and Ziek are always feeling the hot breath of the Phipps. They are sticks out on Peck. They've definitely got Peck figured out. So I love it though. I love having competition. So it's always fun competing against those guys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they came roaring back from a tough day 1 of just 33.32. Day 2, 28.44, and ended up in 3rd place. So with that tough bite, that's impressive. What everybody did. So was there any surprises about this year's Gov Cup? Was there anything where you look back on it now that it's over and you guys got the trophy in your hands, that you look back and go, wow, I didn't expect that?
I honestly didn't expect the bite to be as bad as it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really usual for Peck in the summer for a bite to be that bad. It was unbelievably bad. It was wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one surprised me too, especially with when you get a whole lake full of really good fishermen, like you and Ziek, and you're out there and you've got live scope in that, but it just really was. Do you have any thoughts as to why the bite was so tough?
I think it's because we've had such a cold spring. I think a lot of these fish we were fishing up by the dam are all resident fish that kind of spawn in the back of the bays and that kind of thing. I think the big flux of west fish just haven't and just aren't going to be coming as far east as they usually do, just because the water's been too cold. It's just been too cold of a spring, and now the water's all warmed up. Those west fish have no need to keep going east. So I think because like west of Hell Creek right now is on fire. There's everyone's catching right now. So I think a lot of those fish just stayed west, and the same thing goes for the dry arm. A lot of those dry arm fish just stayed in the dry arm.
Yeah, and so that's going to be interesting for that Hell Creek tournament too, won't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting how many people go west and how many people decide to go east.
Now, you're not fishing that tournament, are you?
I am not. We'll still be here in South Dakota while that tournament's going on.
That's what I thought. So, what advice would you give to people that are going to be fishing that Hell Creek tournament?
Go west.
Go west, young man.
Yeah, go west.
Okay.
Go
well,
west.
there you have it. Now, of course, when this podcast gets released, it'll be Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So if you're competing in the Hell Creek tournament and listen to this right now, and you didn't do it on, because that's a 2-day tournament, right? But that's Friday, Saturday, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I believe so.
So you guys will be in day 2 if you're listening to this right now. So what are you going to do? Hopefully you're listening to the man that won the Gov Cup here. So let's talk about what's up in the future for you. Talk about what this tournament is like in South Dakota for the South Dakota Gov Cup, and what do you think you and Ziek's chances are going to be?
Yeah, so this just the South Dakota Gov Cup. It's a 6-fish limit. Actually, you get 2 fish over 20 inches, and then 4 fish under 20 inches.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's located in Pierre, South Dakota, right next to the dam. It's actually been a super tough bite down here as well. Got a couple buddies, Dewey Jelm, John Hoyer, those guys. They've said we've kind of told them what the bite's been like up at Peck, and they've pretty much been saying it's been the exact same.
Okay.
Here down at Oahe. So yeah, it's been a tough go so far.
How often do you fish Oahe over in South Dakota?
Not a whole lot. Probably once or twice a year, I'd say.
And compare that to Fort Peck as far as size and that, just for folks that have never fished Oahe. Give us a.
Oahe's got giant fish, just like Peck. It's pretty amazing the fish that come out of here. I will say you can't catch as many out here as you can as Peck. Peck, we've had I don't even know. I can't even count how many big fish days we've had. Oahe, you kind of got to work for them a little bit more. These fish kind of stage up a little bit differently. But I would say big fish wise, Fort Peck and Oahe go neck and neck big fish wise. But if you want to go catch a lot of big fish, I'll probably have to take Peck over Oahe.
Yeah, that I've heard that the same thing. As far as how you and Ziek strategize for a lake that you do not spend but maybe a couple times a year on, what do you do there? I mean, how do you figure a plan out when you're not that familiar with a lake?
It's a lot of research, a lot of watching YouTube videos, a lot of going on websites, looking to see what other anglers have done, and also kind of getting a little team together to break down the water easier. My dad and Gage are out there right now, and then we got another guys we're staying with, Keely Montgomery, and his partner. They're out there fishing right now. We're just trying to break down the water just to make it a little bit easier on us to figure out where these fish are. So that's kind of how we try and figure out a fishery.
Sure. Now, that's kind of interesting that you get some other teams that and you kind of help each other and work together. I don't imagine you get that kind of help when you're back on the home water in Fort Peck, huh?
No, not a whole lot. No,
probably not. Yeah. Every time I ask someone, they get off the lake pre-fishing at Peck, and I say, where were you guys pre-fishing all that? On the lake.
Yeah, yep.
You don't get a lot of help
no,
there.
You do not.
But when you get into a place that you're not used to, you go, oh, okay, let's all team up and work together. And I imagine the guys that are coming over from South Dakota to Peck, they're probably doing the same thing when they're over at Fort Peck, I suppose. Huh?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to take one more quick break, and when we come back, I want you to talk a bit about how your year overall is going. What are your odds of angler of the year, those kind of things. And then we'll get some final thoughts from you right after this. Hey, gang, thanks for supporting and listening to this podcast. I can't tell you how much it means to all of us that you're here. And speaking of support, we would not be able to do this podcast at all if it weren't for sponsors like Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. It is truly an honor to have Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer on our team. If you own a trailer, you ought to think about adding them to your team, too. They can service your trailer, and when it comes to repairing trailers, well, you won't find anyone better at it than Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. If it's parts you need to do your own service and repairs, well, they are the place for that. Another thing you may not know about Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer is they install all kinds of accessories for the truck that pulls your trailer. Whether it's just the necessary items to help your truck get the trailer down the road perfectly, or all those gadgets and bells and whistles to dress your truck up a bit and, well, make it your unique style. And here's the best part. The folks that do all those repairs and installations are real technicians. They do things the right way and do it to such a degree of precision and reliability that you can roll down the road with confidence. Whether you need your trailer bearings packed, the whole thing rewired, or the right fifth wheel, or any kind of hitch installed, you're going to know that your trailer is ready to haul what you want, worry-free. No matter if it's getting you and your four-legged coworker to the next rodeo or job, or just hauling a load to the dump, or getting the boat and RV to your favorite fishing hole. Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer has you covered. And of course, if you need a new trailer, they can set you up with a brand new Diamond C gooseneck equipment, dump trailer, or whatever else you need to haul wherever you are going, worry-free. Happy and looking good, too. Heck, they even carry an amazing line of CM truck beds that'll make your rig look and work like new. It's what they do at Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. They're in Missoula, or you can find them on the web at rmtte.com. That's rmtte.com. Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer. Go see them. Back here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast, I'm with Owen Willcox, winner of the 37th Annual Gov Cup. He is on the phone with me. He is over in South Dakota right now trying to get set up and ready to go fish the South Dakota Gov Cup. Again, congratulations to you and Ziek on a great Montana Gov Cup and that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your year so far on the tournament circuit, where you stand now and where you think you're going to end up.
Yeah, so me and Ziek were able to get a third place finish at Rock Creek, and then obviously the win at Gov Cup. And I actually think Ziek's brother Gage is leading Angler of the Year right now.
Is he? Okay.
I want to say I think he's beating us by like half a point right now. So unfortunately, we won't be able to get the Angler of the Year just because obviously we're not doing Hell Creek. But it's been a super fun year on Fort Peck for sure. We did the Tough Guy tournament. Me and Ziek also got third there too, with 54 pounds, which is crazy. 60 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's been like always an awesome year in Fort Peck.
What are your plans for the future then? Obviously you and Ziek are doing well. You alone, your success as a standalone competitor, how are you doing there?
It's been a tougher year this year on the NWT. This is my second year fishing the National Walleye Tour. I will say it's been a tougher year. It's definitely been a learning experience, which is totally fine. I'm a young guy, just kind of still trying to learn the ropes and trying to get everything pieced together. But my next tour tournament is August 1st and 2nd on Lake Oahe. So that'll be pretty fun. That'll be kind of up my alley as well, kind of a Missouri River chain reservoir. So I think I'll be able to. I have a chance at doing pretty good there. So,
and how long have you been fishing on the National Walleye Tour?
Since last year. Last year was my rookie season. So this is my second year as a pro on the National Walleye Tour.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about how somebody gets on the national tour. I mean, is it like a PGA golfer where you got to go through lots of testing and that, or how does that work?
No, it's just like any of these tournaments. You just got to pay to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just pay your entry fee and you're good to go.
And then it just works similar to what is done in Montana, and that as far as you get your points and your.
Yep, you get your points. So there's 5 tournaments total. There are 4 I guess you could say regular season tournaments. They're qualifying tournaments, and then the 5th tournament is a championship. So only the top 40 anglers of like points wise anglers of the year, top 40 make it to the championship.
Okay.
So, yep, that's how the National Walleye Tour works.
And on the national tour, how far across the country does that go? I mean, how far do you have to travel for some?
Oh, it goes all the way to New York.
Wow.
This spring, I had to go to Ohio to fish Lake Erie. I was just a few weeks ago. I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You go to Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, New York, all those places. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty fun.
I imagine it is, but it's got to be a lot of fun. Now, how does one do that? You know, I mean, is that pretty much a full-time gig then for you to fish that?
It is. It's definitely a full-time thing. I got to put a lot of time and hard work into it. It's a lot of gas money. There's a lot of gas into it. But yeah, it's kind of a full-time thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of the rodeo circuit. I mean, you go to town. You got to pick your battles and see where you're going to go, and
for sure.
And hopefully it works. Well, keep us posted on how you do on the national side of things, and be sure and send us some pictures of what's going on out there in the circuit. So, are you done then as far as you and Ziek? Are you guys done for the year as far as tournaments, or are you guys going to compete in some others?
Yeah, once the South Dakota Gov Cup's over, I think me and Ziek at least are done for the year, are done for the season. I think.
Now, does he fish? Does he fish on the national circuit too, or?
No, he does not. Nope.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine that'd get a little tough if you got to compete against each other and then try to team up too.
It might. You never know. You might be able to do it, but
yeah,
I guess
that'd be interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I don't know if that happens with other guys out there on the national tour. I suppose it does.
I guess it does.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out. What advice would you give any of the young folks, that young men and women or boys and girls that are looking at a guy like Owen Willcox here and saying, boy, I'd like to win the Gov Cup one day, or maybe I'd like to try my hand at the National Walleye circuit. What advice can you give a youngster starting out?
Fish as much as you can. Keep your head up when things don't go your way with fishing. Fishing is a lot of good luck and bad luck. And you just got to keep your head up. And if you're even on social media and that kind of thing, get your name out there. If you want to try to make it to the pro level, you got to get on social media, get your name out there, get people to know who you are and that kind of thing. But obviously just fish as much as you can, learn as much as you can. The cool thing about fishing, you're never not learning. You're always learning something new. So that's the cool thing about fishing. You're always learning.
Well, unless you're with the captain and I when we fish together, well, I guess you're learning, but you're probably not learning the right thing.
I guess. Yep. I guess you're right there.
Yeah, there's some interesting discussions that he and I have.
Oh, I bet.
Out on the boat, but by golly, you're right though. It's one of those sports that you can do your entire life. You will never regret learning how to fish and doing that. So
yep, that's for sure.
Well, Owen, I want to thank you very much for all the time you've taken here. Let us know how you do. See if you can go steal that Gov Cup trophy from South Dakota.
Yeah, we're going to give him hell. So
yeah, I hope so. And tell Ziek congratulations and good luck to him as well out there. And we hope to hear from you soon again. And we'll see how that Hell Creek tournament turns out. You may be beating yourself a little bit for not hitting that one.
I know. We'll see.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much for your time, and good luck out there.
Thank you.
There you have it. There is Owen Willcox. I mean, he's on a roll. Anytime you can win the Gov Cup, that's the way to go. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Let us know other thoughts and ideas of different subjects you'd like us to tackle here. And we've got a lot of really good shows ahead of us here on some very interesting bodies of water we're going to take you through and discover too. So stick around here and be sure and share the show as often as you can, because that helps us grow too. Till we talk again, folks, be safe out there, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time here on the Montana Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Montana Outdoor Podcast. It has been brought to you in part by Superior Hardwoods of Montana, home of the largest selection of in-stock high-end wood products and flooring in the western United States. Let them guide you through the woods at superior-hardwoods.com. And by Rocky Mountain Truck and Trailer in Missoula, home of Boss Snowplows, CM Truck Beds, and Diamond Sea Trailers. Just go to rmtte.com for more information. So what did you think of today's podcast? Send your questions and comments to Downrigger at montanooutdoor.com. We should be dropping a new podcast this next Saturday. Until then, we will see you soon out in Montana's great outdoors.